I know this is a fight that a lot of fans have circled on their calendar. Coming up this weekend at featherweight, we have Billy Quarantillo. He's taking on Gabriel Benitez, who's a fan favorite in the Fight Night Picks universe. And you go back and you look at Gabriel Benitez's last fight. Well, I think he took Justin Jane's spine out of his back with a crazy knee up the middle. And then for Benitez, well, we expected to see him back not that long ago. He's supposed to be taking on Jonathan Pierce, a guy who... I mean, who the hell knows what Jonathan Pierce is like? Sometimes he's getting finished by Joe Lozon. Sometimes he's styling on Kai Kamaka. It was tough. Now, I put it up in the graphic that you're going to see next to us. The fact that Gabriel Benitez, if you look on Tapology, it says his latest weight, 155.5. He's a guy that's bounced around before. He's had some interesting fights. But really, his home is at featherweight. Only weighed 150.5 for his fight against Jonathan Pierce. And Jonathan said, no. I mean... come to fight and come to make the weight, and then we'll fight. And for Jonathan Pierce, well, we haven't seen him back in the UFC since, and this wasn't all that long ago. But for Benitez, he gets a quick turnaround. He's going to be taking on Billy Q, who just tasted his first bit of defeat in his last fight. He was supposed to take on Gavin Tucker a few different times in 2020. Coronavirus started. Billy got it in the summer. Then we end up with a fight. And he didn't look very good against Gavin Tucker.
He didn't, and it was a really unique performance from Billy Q because he didn't really do any of the things that we know him for. Like, when I think of Billy Quarantillo, I don't really think about, power or extreme volume, or I shouldn't say that. I don't really think about extreme power, but I do think about just his absurd level of volume and the way that his cardio normally can get him through really tough fights, but that wasn't the case whatsoever against Gavin Tucker. He was really it felt like he was just reacting to what Gavin Tucker did. He was never the one moving forward. He was getting backed up. He was getting taken down. It was just a really uncharacteristic performance from Billy Quarantillo, and that's why this fight against Gabriel Benitez will be so interesting. I think Benitez is going to have success in some of the areas that Gavin Tucker did. Of course, Benitez isn't the wrestler that Tucker is, but it was weird that Tucker had as much success on the feet as he did against Billy Q, because for Billy Q, I think he's a good but not great striker, but honestly, that last performance kind of took him down another notch in my mind. I understand that you might have some reservations about Gabriel Benitez and the weight miss and whatnot, but in my mind, if we're getting both guys at 100%, if I'm getting the best version of Billy Q versus the best version of Gabriel Benitez at 145 pounds, I'm honestly finding it really hard to find ways of how Billy Q could beat him at 145. My question really comes down to, can Benitez still safely make the weight at 145? And how dedicated was he really to this whole game plan and to this training camp?
It really is tricky. I mean, Gabriel Benitez is one of those guys that actually leads the featherweight division in significant strike defense at 71.4%. That's a number that you absolutely love to see from a primary striker who's a southpaw that throws wicked body kicks and leg kicks to the point where, listen, will his shin leak a little bit? Yeah, a la Mark Hunt. You love to see it, but I look at this, I wrote down a lot in terms of notes. He actually combined for featherweight and lightweight as a 70.5% clip in terms of significant strike defense. If you consider even that combined, that's actually 8th all-time period regardless of weight class. So that just shows you how good his significant strike defense is. 6-4 so far in the UFC, maybe not the most glamorous clip. He was booked again, like I said, in May. It was supposed to be that fight against Jonathan Pierce. And for Billy Quarantillo, I don't know. He was probably looking forward to fighting Canadians for the longest time. He was actually 3-0 going into the fight against Gavin Tucker. He had a win over Matt DiMarcantonio that we saw fight at Fight League Atlantic? Not Fight League Atlantic. No. Sorry, Kat. It was FA Legends. It was a weird card. But Matt DiMarcantonio fought in the main event. He had fought Billy Quarantillo and lost. Kyle Nelson, the other name, and Adrian Valeka, a guy that actually trains with some big names, the Gary Roberts team that trains Connor McDavid in hockey off the ice. So some cool stuff in terms of Billy Q, but a guy coming to us from Gracie Barra, Tampa. He's trained quite a bit with Matt Frivola. You see those two guys palling around. Coming into this fight, I look at the odds. Gabriel Benitez open a plus 115 underdog. He's actually a minus 190 favorite right now. If you look at it for Billy Q, open a minus 135 favorite. He's now plus 156 underdog. And when I look at it over on Tapology, 950 total votes, 75% Quarantillo, 80% by decision. For the 25% that have Benitez, 67% by decision. To me, as far as Billy Q is concerned, if he's past any of the tiredness issues, if he's really worked on his cardio the last number of months, because you have to factor in, the Gavin Tucker fight was 6 months ago. We haven't seen him in quite some time. Before that, wins over Kyle Nelson, where he finished him. Spike Carlisle, where he outlasted him. Jacob Kilburn, whose UFC run was very...
three subpar fighters, correct?
Was very difficult. Gabriel Benitez, you look at it, the 5-on-in. I know there's big wins over Humberto Bandenay, Jason Knight. The losses, Sadiq Youssef, Omar Morales, that one was at 55, and then moved back down and fought Justin James, where it was just absolute sicko mode in that fight. I love the striking out of Benitez as a complete package. I do still like the cardio out of Billy Q. I think that fight against Gavin Tucker, it was style for style. Tucker had his number that night. That's what makes this fight so interesting. Do we get the norm out of Billy Q? Was that a one-off? And for Gabriel Benitez, is the weight cut an issue now moving back down to featherweight?
Well, the norm for Billy Q, the issue is that he's going to eat a lot of damage in this fight. The problem is he's going to be eating damage until he can get his hands around Gabriel Benitez. And the issue is that Benitez, who does invest in leg and body shots a lot in the first round, even if Billy Q does have better cardio, he won't by the time the third round comes around because of all the damage to the leg and the bodies that he will absorb. Like, if Gavin Tucker can have success with the leg kick against you, then Gabriel Benitez is going to destroy your legs. And there's really no other way of saying it, because I think Gavin Tucker is a very complete striker. He can throw a lot of different things at you, but he's not the specialist in Muay Thai that Benitez is. And I really do think that the calf kick of Benitez and the body shots are really going to add up as this fight goes on. Unless we do get something weird weight cut wise, I might switch my pick when it does come down to question mark kicks. But as of right now, I actually do like Gabriel Benitez.
That's the thing. When Javier Mendez says you're the best guy at kicking that he's ever seen, and I'm surprised he didn't say that about like Khabib, because listen, I mean, he just defends him all the time. But I do like Gabriel Benitez as well in this fight. But again, just like with the JSP fight, just like Billy Q with Gavin Tucker, I want to see these guys on the scale facing off, and then I'll make the final prediction. So you're going to have to wait till Saturday to get an official outlook on this one. But for right now, both of us going with Mexico's Gabriel Benitez. And Matt, we have a really interesting fight on this card, up a weight class in the main event. Islam Makhachev taking on Thiago Moises. You're not going to want to miss that. So keep locked in with Fight Night Picks. And as we always say, let's get into it.